Evening everyone and welcome to the T6 Touring Championship. We are live from the Virginia International Raceway, of course located in Virginia State. And for the second time we travel across the pond to the United States for the fifth round of the season. Races 9 and 10. Firstly, we'll be qualifying to set the grid and they are underway for that session now. Less than 10 minutes to go, and then we'll have two races of 25 minutes each, where the second of the two will be a partial reverse grid. My name is Ashley Denman, sat alone in the box here this evening and bringing you this fantastic stream, and the very championship itself is Rich Weatherall, who will be keeping everything running behind the scenes. Germany has Nürburgring, England has Cadwell Park, and America has this marvel of a circuit. So get comfy, find yourself a drink, maybe even a snack, because here we go. First of all, let's bring you the track layout. The grid itself, I should say, here for the Touring Championship. Daniel Hurlock still leading there on 120 points, with Chris Gravett in second on 112. Alessandro Cappa won't be joining us here this evening, unfortunately, and he sits third on 111. That could be crucial in his championship fight. Callum Wilson is on 95 there in fourth, and Vlad Tokarev fifth with 93. Next up is going to be Alan Axon with 65, Luke Mitchell 7th on 57, Carla Messina there for mixed wheels is 8th with 49, and Jordan Osborne and Callum Cripps round out your top 10 with 47 and 40 points respectively. So championship definitely hotting up, particularly towards the top end of things. I think Hurlock's lead has dropped a little bit, so Gravett definitely in hot pursuit. So let's have a look at the track itself then and take a look at this brilliant circuit that we have that is a shortened version, VIR. 4.2 miles or 6.75 kilometers. Probably one of the lengthiest circuits we're going to be here all season. Chris Gravett holding the current track record, 149.9, mighty fast lap. And some crucial corners to look out for. The left hook there of turn number 4, all important, setting that up to get onto the little back straight there. And then turn number 12, Oak Tree, and the big famous one that used to sit on its apex. You, of course, have this massively long back straight, 4,000 feet long roughly, or 0.75 miles. And then one of the trickier corners on this circuit, 16-17, sort of a double apex of Hog Pen. And it is cloudy for both races, 26 degrees, so not the warmest we've seen out there, but I think that is going to help these drivers out with the tyre situation. I've seen it in the chat a bit earlier on, some of them saying that their tyres are pretty much dead by the time they get to the end of sort of a stint for themselves. So that could be key then here today in terms of maximising your race result. But qualifying itself here, it has been a little bit wet and wonderful. We can see it's cleared up now, the skies. There's no longer rain falling, but the track is still wet. So it's going to start tumbling down all the lap times as this session wears on. And we have less than 4 minutes to go. Tokarev is currently on provisional pole. Hurlock second with Callum Wilson in third. And what can Chris Gravett do? Currently sitting 10th, fastest in the first sector. That's by the little purple stripe you can see next to his name. I wonder if he can improve further still here in the second one. He'll be definitely looking to try and capitalise on a good result here, especially if he wants to try and gain more points on Daniel Hurlock leading that championship. I should also point out, and I had a look at it earlier, the team standings, because we currently have a lockout at the front between Powered by Loadout Racing and Unlimited Hyundai. So Luke Mitchell and Daniel Hurlock lead with 177. I think that goes on countback. And then Unlimited Hyundai with Alan Axon and Chris Gravett also on 177 points. So that is very much hotting up. A bit further down, 5th and 6th. They're currently tied on 59 points. Two Unlimited teams, 6th and 7th as well. So yeah, the teams championship super duper close as Chris Gravett now takes provisional pole away from Vlad, and he'll have to try and find a response in the remaining 2.5 minutes that we have here as we sit here on board with Luke Mitchell. Haven't seen him for a little while now in terms of the on-track action. He hasn't been showing up. I think just busy with his real life, of course, and rightly so. But we know he's a contender. He's still 7th in the standings after only doing 2 rounds, missed 2, still way up there. So the fact that he is here for a fifth as he now goes even faster and sets provisional pole once again. So we've got another change at the top. 2 minutes left to go in this session, and I think it could be anybody's game here. It's going to be really a question of who is the last man to start a flying lap, because that will probably determine who is on pole position, providing, of course, they don't make a mistake on the lap. Easy to do in wet to dry conditions. I would imagine most of them probably starting to put a dry tyre on their car, so we should potentially see lap times still tumbling down as the session wears on. David Darragh jumps up to second. That's a mighty impressive lap from him, and Carlo Messina as well in third. So I would imagine there's still plenty of time out there as Jordan Osborne now goes fastest of all. Louis Neal in his Honda rounding the final corner of Hog Pen, and then along this fairly lengthy front straight. I think this is about 3,000 feet, bit of a kink in it, but either way you're still flat out through there. Where does he go then, or is that his first run? Oh, he was 17th, jumps up to 11th, so found a little improvement, but still plenty left on the table for him. Vlad's tyres squealing for relief through 16. Has he found an improvement? He's got 2 purple sectors. This is surely going to be provisional pole for the Russian. Does he jump to the top? I can't imagine why he wouldn't. Yes, there he goes by a massive second. That is a huge gap between him and Alan Axon. Plenty of drivers out there setting personal bests now. Radio Uhalau jumps up to third. This could be probably the most mixed up qualifying session we could have all season long, just purely down to the conditions themselves. Schra is 5th currently as well. Mitchell's still in the pits. He's not going to be able to set another lap. Neither is Michelon and Barthez and Fides. I think Michelon and Fides, they're also serving a penalty coming into this. Wilson jumps up to the top now, able to beat Tokarev by just over a 10th, and the clock is about to tick 0. So if you're going to really nail a lap, it really is now that it needs to be done. Louis Neal still on one. Session has dropped to 0. Who is still on the lap to be able to improve? Axon, I think, jumps up there again. Or was that Simon Trebek maybe, who's just made an improvement? He's now jumped up to 6th place. Good result for him there, if he can hang on to it. Plenty of cars still improving out there on the circuit. We're still on board here with Louis Neal, who last time at Alton Park suffered a bit of a, probably felt like a big mental loss almost, but he did have that moment later on in the race after leading it for so long, that second leg. Mighty impressive stuff. You could consider him a bit of a rookie in that regard because it was his debut evening, but he's, I'm sure, no doubt going to bounce back here. He's currently P14, 16 now as he's being pushed down by more cars. Wilson still provisional pole. Tokarev 2nd, Osborne 3rd. Can Neal find some time? Yes, he can! He goes 2nd by 100th of a second. That is so tantalisingly close. My word. Brilliant stuff. Chris Gravett, what can he do now? Currently 13th. Definitely needs to find a lap when it counts. He's purple in the first. He's personal best in the second. Wilson still improving out there. Radio Uhalau still improving. Daniel Hurlock, he's 16th. He definitely needs to find some improvement as well, but currently going personal best in the first 2 sectors. Who has got a response here as Uhalau jumps up to 2nd now? Tokarev has retaken provisional pole. He's massively improved up there. He's over a second ahead of Uhalau. Grab it to the line. What can he do? It's now or never. Definitely going to be an improvement, but how much by? He takes pole! Can anyone respond? I don't think they can. Hurlock has finished. He is 3rd, and Chris Gravett has snatched pole position right under the nose of Vlad Tokarev. Fantastic stuff we've just witnessed there in qualifying. If that is how it's going to be similar to the race itself, then my word, we're in for an absolute treat. Well done, Chris. Pole position for yourself. Vlad Tokarev will take 2nd with Daniel Hurlock in 3rd. That is your top 3. Then we get to Callum Wilson. Radio Uhalau in 5th. Mighty lap from him there. He'll be really happy with that one. Louis Neal, an impressive 6th as well. Jordan Osborne, Alan Axon. Bruno Reinho is 9th with Carlo Messina 10th. They'll be happy with those results. Basti Schra 11th with David Zerwes 12th, and Simon Trebek, unlucky for some, but 13th for him. Luke Mitchell might be a bit disappointed with that one in the end because he is 14th. Nick Lowe will be 15th with Michael Clough there in 16th, and Roman Barthez 17th and rounding out the grid. Don't think he set many more lap times after probably his initial one there. 2:12 on the clock. And Michelin and Fides down at the back, not setting a time because they are serving a qualifying ban. Well, my, that was already some excitement here. I mean, it's a circuit that I would imagine will offer up lots and lots of excitement as we get deeper into this race. Going to go out for a little bit of last minute practice now. It's just the warm-up session for these guys here. And it does give us a nice opportunity then to give a nice mention to our sponsors in Phoenix Sim Racing and Denman Tweaks. Well, we'll start with Phoenix Sim Racing there. They're a non-profit organisation set up and designed to help and support people with disabilities get into motorsport with their adaptive systems to accommodate their requirements. And of course, through the systems of esports, sim racing, or even out on the real circuits themselves, Phoenix Sim Racing are there to help. Fantastic organisation, and big thanks for sponsoring us here as well. And Denman Tweaks, who can forget them? They're able to offer the most complete and innovative motorsport, car tuning and motorcycle product range available worldwide. No matter if it is for your first track day out there, you know, first time racer, or just want to get in on the action, or whether you are a seasoned professional or, you know, pro looking for your next purchase and big ticket item, then they do have everything there for you. So Denman Tweaks, do go and check them out. Lovely. Well, we can just get a bit of a lay of the land here then, really, around this circuit. It is a fantastic one to come to, steeped in a lot of history, and a history that you can say is split into two halves, spanning about 60-70 years, depending on how you want to look at this thing. It opened all the way back in 1957, but it was closed for about 25 years between 1974 and the year 2000, when it had a magnificent reopening, and then ever since then it has always been on the SCCA, the sort of American Sports Car Championship they have. It's a nice circuit to come to for GT racing, MX-5s, you name it, it's probably been here. I saw even earlier, IMSA Championship. I can't imagine a GTP running around here, but touring cars suit it perfectly because nice tight circuit, lots of grass runoff. And it is very much a characteristic as that is how you get it all wrong in the hog pen. Pushing it a bit too much onto the brakes themselves, and around goes the rear. But you can see here as we go down the long back straight, I'm trying to work out who we're on board with, but it's not the biggest matter right now. And then into this turn 14, good overtaking opportunity, and it is a scary one because they call it the roller coaster, named after the similarities between it and Laguna Seca's corkscrew. But I can see why they went for the roller coaster. It does go up quite a bit and then it dips right back down. Not as aggressive as the corkscrew, but similarly so. It really is a circuit of lots of sort of iconic corners and features. It's very much a classic American style circuit, very bumpy. And of course, with bumps, like we saw at Alton Park a fortnight ago, you can snag some tyres, lock wheels relatively easily. But also it means you can, one small mistake with the old style, you do run off, and when you do run off, it is not tarmac, like I say, it is grass. You can see it absolutely everywhere around this circuit. It is a joy to behold when you go to circuits such as this, and I'm very much looking forward to this one as cars have had their warm-up. They'll now get set to the grid itself, final preparations for strategy and what the driver wants to do. And we'll have the warm-up lap and we'll go through the grid once again for that. But yeah, certainly a lot of iconic moments around this circuit itself. I mean, turn one, the horseshoe, long right-hand, a tricky exit as well. It sort of tightens up and cuts off a little bit there. The S's climbing up for initially up to the hill, turn 7, and then immediately turn 8, turn 9, coming at you really fast. And then of course you have got the corners such as South Bend, turn 10. When we go around the formation lap, I'll try and spot them out for you as well, but we'll get the grid first, obviously. And we're just waiting for the drivers to begin this formation lap. Track elevation 130 feet, so a lot of ups and downs. And the great man Carroll Shelby once said that he remarked one lap at the Virginia International Raceway is like 100 at Watkins Glen, so I think he's referring to the difficulty of it. Anyway, let's take a look at the grid then, whilst everybody runs around for this final warm-up lap. Chris Gravett took pole position by quite some margin, about half a second over Vlad Tokarev, who lines up alongside him. Daniel Hurlock will have to settle for third, and Callum Wilson will sit there in fourth on row number 2. Radio Uhalau reaching dizzying heights, it might feel like, for him, in fifth, and Louis Neal an impressive sixth position starting on the third row. It's an unlimited esports fourth with I want to say it was Jordan Osborne and Alan Axon, and then we have Bruno Rejo and Carlo Messina on the 5th, in 9th and 10th. Basti Schrar and David Zerwes, they'll occupy row 6 with 11th and 12th, and then Simon Trebek and Luke Mitchell 13th, 14th. Nick Lowe will be in 15th, with Michael Clough keeping him company in 16th place. And then towards the back of the grid, Roman Barthez and Fabian Michelon 17th, 18th, and Yaroslav Fides got the entire row to himself at the back in 19th. And they've actually made it round this circuit quite quickly, already halfway, and the corner they just went through there was that South Bend corner I was referring to. Now we've got up to the far end of the circuit, and Oak, I'm going to call it Oak Bend, it is called Oak Tree. Reason being is that there used to be a massive oak tree that hugged the apex of the corner, and they do sell pieces of that iconic tree to fans. It stood there for more than 150 years, and they've even attempted to have it cloned to try and bring it back to life in a way. I hope they do, because if you want to have a look at an impressive image, go look at the go on the internet, type in the Virginia International Raceway oak tree, and have a look at some of those images. It's a massive oak tree. It spanned right over the track, and obviously racing cars just used to go right underneath the branches. Fantastic. It does look amazing. It's a shame they had to lop it down in 2013. But rounding the final few corners there of Hog's Pen, and coming up to the start-finish straight. It is technically a straight, but it does have a nice curve or kink in it. But you are flat out through there, so it's going to be full throttle, giving it everything. So drivers getting in their grid slot now. You can see there Vlad definitely aiming his car to the right hand side. That's going to be him trying to cover off, I would imagine, Daniel Hurlock, but also try and go on the attack to Gravett, and it's a matter of who can get a slightly better getaway. Waiting for a few more then to get into the grid box. It looks like Luke Mitchell has opted to start from pit lane. I wonder if that is a decision on his behalf, or whether that is potentially him just trying to avoid some early collisions that may occur around here. It is tight and twisty. Here come the klaxons, the lights are on, we're getting ready to go here for the Virginia International Raceway. 25 minutes, and away they go down on the run towards turn number 1, the horseshoe. It looks as though Chris Gravett got a little bit of a tricky start away, and I think Vlad may have also lost a few positions there. Daniel Hurlock, I think, got the best of them all, but into turn number 1, horseshoe corner. They're going to be 3 wide. They fanned out quite spectacularly. There's a yellow flag there, but immediately disappeared once again. Vlad being muscled out, I think, ever so slightly now through the kink of 2, and turn number 3 as they enter this first twisty part of the circuit. Radio Uhalau is up in position. That's a nice start from him there. Callum Wilson losing out slightly, and Louis Neal trying to battle his way through now into turn number 5, and that, I believe, is Callum Wilson trying to have a fight back through Snake then for the first time, as cars desperately trying to fight for tarmacs and positions. That was a nice save there. Well done. I'm just trying to work out who that was. I think that was Louis Neal just about collecting up. Impressive stuff, but it's not over yet, because into the SS they go. 7, 8 and 9 as you rise up over the crest here then, and now through South Bend, that very fast left-hander of turn 10, up the hill once more to 11 and 12 of Oak Tree, and then you've got this incredibly long back straight, 0.75 miles, about 4,000 feet. Slipstream, maybe a little bit of battery use here to enable an overtake into roller coaster turn 14. Let's see if we're going to see any moves. Uhalau still holding on to 4th there. He's got a nice buffer as well, looking back. Gravett very much looking a bit under pressure here from Hurlock. These two now very much championship rivals at this point. Tokarev not out of the equation though. He's still sat there in 3rd, and in the championship itself not far behind. Halau having a really nice run of it here. He's still holding on to fourth. Got a nice gap in front and behind. Wilson fifth, Osborne sixth. Neil managed to recover it to seventh, so didn't lose all that much in the process of going off. Axon eighth, Reno ninth, Messina 10th. And no big changes there in the middle. Shah still 11th. And that was Herlock getting past Gravette down into turn number 1. Didn't quite get to see it, unfortunately, but I would imagine Herlock maybe a bit braver on the brakes and Gravette not giving too much of a fight. But that could be him preserving tyre life, so not giving it everything right from word go, because it is going to be the long game, I think, is going to be played for this circuit. Through Snake, turn 6. And now this is the quick run, and then you're going to enter turn 7, 8 and 9. There's 7. Here's 8, the right hander as you go up the hill. Really quick set of corners. Turn 9 there. Now slow it slightly for turn 10. Really quick corner. You want to carry a lot of momentum because you've then got a short straight here to turn 11. Heavy braking zone and overtakes can be made there as well. But then you do become a bit more vulnerable on this back straight here. Chris Gravette looking like he might be struggling a little bit out there. Daniel Herlock trying to run away ever so slightly. Gap half a second. Tokarev looming large in the mirrors of that unlimited car. Probably feels like a pink wall to Chris when he looks backwards. Either way, holding then for the time being as they find their way through roller coaster for the second time. This is Bruno Rejo then. He's trying to hang on from Carlo Messina behind for P number 9. Nice little battle we've got here in the midfield. Haven't found out as much as I was maybe anticipating that they would. As this is Callum Wilson then on a radio Halau. So Halau having to try and look a little bit defensive. Wilson is past. I think that might have been down to the exit, as that looks to be Osborne trying to have a look up the inside of that orange car. Has he done the move? I think this is going to come back to Halau's advantage, the left-hander here of turn 2 and 3, and that is going to be Louis Neal taking full advantage of that. He goes down the inside of Osborne there. Nice move there for Neal. It's not completely cemented just yet, but it is now potentially. No, Osborne's still hanging it on the inside. They're going to be side by side then through turn 5 and 6 of Snake. And Louis Neal just about getting the move done and in front of Osborne. You need to get it done really before you get to this section here, turn 7 and 8 and 9. Very much single file corners. You can take it flat out just about. Slight lift for 9, and then you do have to slow it a bit here for 10. And keep an eye on that rumble strip. It can pull you out quite violently and maybe a little bit unexpectedly, but so far everyone navigating it really well. This is back up front with the leaders, Daniel Herlock, Chris Gravette, Vlad Tokarev, getting a nice gap and pulling away from Callum Wilson, who's now in 4th, and Halau has dropped to 5th. I think this could be a nice freeway battle all the way to the end of this race, and that will be absolutely something. And then when we get the reverse grid for the second one, well, we'll see how many cars we get for that. Of course, assigned at random later on in this race. We'll find out later how that goes. As Halau's wide, very wide indeed, off on the grass. He's now going to struggle to get back on, and no. He's going to drop like a stone in water all the way to the very back of the field. Fides has gone through. And just like that, Halau looking like an absolute hero. And it just goes wrong for him. He's dropped right the way down to the back. Heartbreaking for Raider, and he'll be wishing very much that is not how it played out. Such a shame. Really was heroic stuff in qualifying, but he's now got it all to do again. Looking here at the battle, I think that's Basti Schrar having to defend there from Simon Trebek into turn number 4. That is hook curve. That is, I believe, Bruno Rejo here though. Yes, it is. P8 currently right up the chuff of Alan Axon, sitting right tucked underneath that rear wing. No real chance here through the S's, but potentially if you can get a nice exit out of turn 10 South Bend, then you have a real good run as you go up the hill in tricky braking zone of turn number 11. You're hard on the brakes and getting it tucked in, but you're still braking while you're turning. You can easily overcook it, run it a bit wide, but that looked pretty nice there from Renault. And is he going to get a chance into roller coaster? I don't think he is. It looks like Axon deploying a bit of battery to make sure he has the gap, so no chances into turn 14. Certainly looks that way at least. Yeah, no move on that occasion. Front three once again, still no change here, but they are running nose to tail. Really close racing stuff. Fascinating to watch, and I'm really excited to find out who is going to finish on the top step of the podium. I mean, this is the podium as you look at it. It's just a matter of who can outfox the others and take the top. Into turn one of horseshoe they go. Herlock still leading from Gravett and Tokarev, not a lot separating them. Callum Wilson is actually closing in on this trio. He's looking to make it a quartet. Gap is just over a second and he has been slowly gaining, so I wonder, is this Herlock just trying to slow everybody up and look after his own tyres, as we've got a yellow flag out there? Not too sure who that one is for. I can't see anybody dropping down the order. Could be someone towards the back already. It could be Uhalau, he's in the pits. Maybe something has happened there, but either way, we move forward because that's Messina losing a position to Simon Trebek for P10. Astishar 9th, still hanging on to that position as well, as this is Vlad Tokarev back up front. Look at the gap between them and Wilson now. He's massively closing in on this trio. This could become a four-way fight for the lead then in this first race. Race 9. And then we'll have race 10 to follow after, of course. Up to roller coaster now. Gravett looking at it. Herlock making sure he goes a bit defensive, but I think actually that was Gravett looking at the defensive line from Vlad Tokarev behind. It's going side by side here is very tricky indeed. Tokarev clips the grass ever so slightly. That's going to make him vulnerable to Wilson behind, as Wilson goes a little deep into the hog pen. Probably doesn't want to swim with the piggies. Hectic cleaner, I'd imagine. And this is me speculating, I'd imagine it's called hog pen because of the contours of the landscape. I would imagine all the water probably pools around that corner and on into the grass, and I would imagine it could get proper muddy. So hog pen seems very appropriate. That's me speculating, but I could probably guess that that is what it is. Still the front four, no change though, but Wilson has definitely joined the fight now. And further back, still little change. That's just showing how difficult it can be to overtake at this circuit. But when you do get one, it is normally very spectacular. As Bastishar still holding P9 for the time being. As this is the move from Tokarev. I would imagine that's with a little bit of help from the battery, but he has managed to get past Chris Gravett. And now can maybe have a chance at attacking Daniel Herlock. Herlock seemed to look to be holding this little pack up for a while, but I think that could have been that he was trying to get somebody past Chris. But he's done that now because Tokarev has gotten through. So I wonder if Herlock's going to pick up the pace once again, try and extend this gap that he's going to try and do it at least. Down the long back straight they go. Well, we're on lap number 6 now, so they're already ticking by quite quickly. Not quite at the halfway mark, but getting close to it. 11 minutes gone now. Bastishar looking in his rear view mirrors. He's managed to still defend for Bruno Rejo. This is an impressive move here, though, from Carlo Messina, trying to get past Simon Trebek there into the roller coaster corner. Now down into the hog pen. No way by, though, for Messina. Had a little thought about it, but I think very rightly so, playing it safe and not putting his car in a vulnerable spot, and now definitely going to have a chance down the start-finish straight here into turn number 1 of Horseshoe. Can he draw that car alongside, though? That's going to be the question. Who's going to be latest on the brakes? I think it's just about Trebek, but Messina definitely alongside him, going to take the shorter run, having that inside line, and gets the move done. Brilliant work from Messina, up 1 spot, back into 10th place now, as Zerwes is going to try and capitalise, take advantage of Trebek getting a bit offline and out of shape, but no way through for David. Back up front with Chris Gravett, Callum Wilson. You can see the front 2 there of Herlock and Tokarev just slightly pulling away, and their last lap's actually 151.1 for Herlock, 150.9 for Tokarev, and then for Gravett and Wilson is a 51.7 for Gravett. So clearly pace struggling just a little bit there, and it was a 51.2 for Callum Wilson. So I think Wilson having a little bit more pace than Gravett, but he's holding his own for the time being, definitely within touching distance of the leaders. Is this all a bit of a strategy game and trying to keep life in those tyres, though? Only time will tell that one, as we have now gotten past the halfway mark in this session. 12 minutes left to go on the clock. Bruno Rejo for Grow Racing Team, having a pretty good session here so far. Trying to see. He's only been, Bruno Rejo, he's been in the top 10. He hasn't been in the top 10 at all season long so far. So he's had 6 starts, he's had 1 DNF, but for so far this season, Bruno Rejo not been inside that top 10, currently sat 9th position and holding quite steady there as well. So could this be the day he finally breaks that and does get inside this top 10? That's going to be interesting. Might be able to gain a little bit more there, because that looked to be Schra going a little bit wide in front. Sorry, not Schra, that was Axon going a little bit wide in front. That could then cause this train to close up to him a little bit further now. This big pack here looking incredibly racy indeed, all very similar pace. This is fantastic to watch and behold. Into the S as they go. Turn 10, South Bend, dips down quite aggressively, then rises once again up to turn 11, and then the famous Oak turn, and he's incredibly wide. It's too wide. He's in the grass, he's in the wall, and just like that, I was bigging him up, but Bruno Rejo drops out of the top 10. It'll be gutting for Rejo, doing so well. And just like that, it's all gone wrong. Clip the grass, and then into the barrier you go. Vlad Tokarev, though, not doing any such thing so far, and fingers crossed he won't, because this is a brilliant fight we've got on our hands here for the lead of this race. Daniel Herlock still leading after passing Chris Gravett early on, and now Vlad Tokarev also doing the business on Gravett, and now looking to take the lead here as we get into the final 10 minutes of this race. You can see there the differing lines through Horseshoe, so Tokarev taking a slightly tighter one as Herlock using a bit more of the circuit. This is the tricky turn 3, easy to spin the car around under braking, and thankfully no one doing it on this occasion. Still using all of the circuit and then some, getting over the rumble strip, touching the dirt. And this is looking mighty close indeed. We saw him pass Gravett here a few laps ago. Can Tokarev do the same on Herlock? Not on this occasion. Very tricky to try and make that move stick. Turn 10, turn 11 now. Still no way past for Tokarev, but he's looking ever closer to the pack of Herlock's car. Very much bumper to bumper. Can he get a better run down here? Both of them seem to get a nice exit out of turn number 12. Long, straight, chances for slipstream, chances for battery use to get alongside the rival, but it is a tricky turn 14 in roller coaster. Can he get alongside in the braking zone? No, he can't. Gonna have to wait. And he does get closer though. So close, in fact, he touches the back of Herlock's car, just letting him know he's here. Nothing wrong with a little love tap, a sweet kiss. Thacker looking incredible on pace at this moment in time. I think Herlock potentially holding him up as they cross the line. Lap time wise is a 1:51.6 for Herlock, so 1:51.3 for Tokarev. Has a look around the outside. Herlock going defensive. This is allowing Gravett and Wilson to get back into the fight. Gravett going to try and get past Tokarev here because the door has been somewhat left open by the Russian, but he's not having anything of it. Chris is going to have to wait for a slightly better opportunity to make that move stick. Herlock trying to scarper away with all the action going on behind, but this four have massively closed up once again. They really pulled away from the next car back as well. Louis Neal 5th, best of the rest so far. He's done a mighty impressive job as Louis Neal joined the series, of course, a fortnight ago at Alton Park. First round seemed to just sort of get his bearings. The second round was leading for a considerable number of laps, so really good stuff. And now, once again, best of the rest in 5th. So keep an eye on Louis Neal. I feel like there could be a win in him. We've seen he can do it. It's just a matter of everything accumulating together. Maybe even the reverse grid for the second race could do it. We'll get to find that out shortly, I'm sure. Just under 7 minutes now left on the clock. Herlock, Tokarev, Gravett, Wilson, your top four still unchanged. Wilson has also gotten, sorry, not Wilson, Louis Neal still having to defend though from Jordan Osborne there in 5th and 6th. So that's still a close battle to keep an eye on your timing tower. You can see them there in the background. But we're still firmly fixated on this front pack because this is the battle for all the podium spots. It's the battle for the lead and the win of this race as well. Very nicely bringing us to a boil. Simmering. Jump back here. This is between Basti Schra, Carlo Messina. Basti Schra still defending from Carlo there, but that's a door and a, well, maybe half a door there for Messina to go through, but he tried to leap through it anyway. Just about got alongside Basti, but he was having none of it. And turn 3 back ahead once again into turn 4 of Hook Corner. And Messina still trying to find a way through. Zerwe is looking ever closer to the back of Trebek there as well. Battles happening on the circuit. It's hard to know where to look. The gap up front between Herlock, Tokarev and Gravett, 0.2 between all of them. This is it right here. You can see it really is bumper to bumper stuff. Practically pushing each other around the corner. And it's just a matter of who can get a nice bit of battery boost potentially to push on past. Here goes Tokarev, must be using a bit of it here now though. This could be an opportunity. They're going to be side by side, dipping down and then up, rising once again for turn 14. Who's going to be later on the brakes? Herlock still there on the inside. Gravett now going to come through. Tokarev still there, not giving anybody an inch. This is going to be interesting now into Hog Pen. There is very much only one line through here. They're going to try and do it side by side anyway. Very respectable with the room. Now it's a drag race. Who can get to the first corner? I think it's going to be Herlock. Chris Gravett now going through as well, and Wilson trying to also follow. This is a tantalisingly close between these three. They fan out across the racetrack as they then get into the braking zone of turn 1. Gravett trying to go round the outside of Herlock. Wilson getting in there too. This is a four-way battle for the lead, no doubt about it. Tokarev trying to fight back. Herlock still holding on to the top spot firmly for the minute. 4 minutes left to go. I think it's going to be about 3 laps. It's going to be touch and go. That includes this one as well. Herlock still holds on. Gravett did manage to climb 1 spot into second. Tokarev now down to third. Wilson just biding his time in fourth. This is incredibly close action. Here comes Gravett. Getting closer and closer. Lost a bit of ground there through 9. Can he maintain the momentum through 10? I think he can, but so could Tokarev behind. Who's going to be later on the brakes here for 11 and 12? Fairly even, nothing separating them too much there. Tokarev going a bit deep into 12 though. That's going to allow Wilson to get close up behind him. I can also confirm it's going to be the top 8 will be on the reverse grid. Currently that goes down to Messina, but he is fighting with Basti Shah, so that's going to be interesting to see as well. Into the braking zone, turn 14. Herlock still leading from Gravett. Tokarev just dropped off the pace a little bit there, and Wilson suffering from that as well. But here comes Gravett. Herlock being absolutely pummeled with pressure. Various drivers throwing everything at it. Who's going to go and grab the kitchen sink out of the kitchen? No, that's the question, as that was Zerwis off in the background, taking the grass through the roller coaster of turn 14. Turn 1, still no change for the leaders here though. And barely anything separating them. This is going to be the second to last lap. Next time by will be white flag conditions. And then it is one lap. Who can take the win of this race? This is nail-biting stuff, I can tell you that. We're on lap 13. I was predicting maybe about 13 laps. I think we're actually going to get 14. Herlock still hanging on. Gravett second, Tokarev third, Wilson still ever much the onlooker, but he does have the best seat in the house to watch this battle and then maybe pick up the pieces if it does go wrong. Oak Tree, turn 12, it's all about the exit here because now you've got the longest straight. Probably we've got the longest straight we're going to have on the calendar. Like I said earlier, it's 3/4 of a mile. Here comes Gravett. Closer, 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 pulls out the slipstream alongside Herlock now into the braking zone. They're coming up towards it for turn 14. Can Gravett be later on the brakes? He's going to have to do it the long way if he wants to try and get past. Little lock there into the corner. That's just going to drop him behind Herlock once again. And Tokarev is there waiting to pick it all up if it does go wrong. Into Hog Pen. Down the start for the straight, second to last time now. We're going to have one more lap then in this fantastic first race. Turn number 1, Herlock still leads, no threat from behind in the braking zone thus far. Who's going to tactically, potentially, try and save a little bit of battery for a specific part of the circuit? That's going to be the question. Turn 2, still no change, but Tokarev looming large in Gravett's mirrors. Turn 3, no problems. Turn 4, we're counting them down. 5, 6 of Snake. Now they pick up speed once again, foot flat to the floor, pretty much all the way to turn 9. Are we going to see a move here? It would be fantastic if we do. You don't often see it. Gravett's trying to look left, he's trying to look right. Desperate to find a gap. Desperate to find a chink in Herlock's armour. That was close under the braking zone of South Bend, turn 10. You're looking for the exit. Square off the corner, Chris. There you go, nicely done. Now get your foot flat to the floor, much traction as you can. Herlock, where's he going to go? Is he going to go defensive? Is he going to make Gravett do the long way round again? Yes, he is. Can Gravett pull alongside? It's now or never for Gravett. The championship rivals are side by side into turn 14. Herlock just about getting it done under braking, hangs on to the position. Gravett very much touching the rear bumper of that car. Can he get something out of this corner though? Hogpen, I'm not sure. It's so close. Here comes Tokarev as well. Is he going to snatch it away? Drag strip to the line. I think it's going to be Herlock. Final kink, there's the checkered flag. Herlock wins. Gravett will have to settle for second. Thacker third. Wilson fourth. Here comes Louis Neal and Jordan Osborne. Fantastic fifth and sixth place for those guys. Alan Axon just about is going to, I think, hold off Carlo Messina there for 7th and 8th. Messina picking up that reverse grid pole. Basti Schrar does come home in 9th. Michelin there, an impressive 10th in the end. He had a very good back half to that race. Simon Trebek's 11th. David Zerwes comes home in 12th. Michael Clough is going to be 13th. Here he comes to the line now. Yaroslav Fides 14th as well. Gaps are rather large back as you go further back here. Nick Lowe 16th as well. Roundhog Pen going to be our last driver up to the checkered flag. My word, what a round one we have just had. That was absolutely fantastic. I honestly didn't think we were going to get such close racing action around this circuit, but my word, did this circuit provide. And Daniel Herlock just increasing his advantage slightly over Chris Gravett. They're 1 and 2. Vlad Tokarev takes P3 to round out your podium here for race 1. Callum Wilson with a mighty impressive 4th in the end. He'll just have to be an onlooker and try and maximise the second race. Louis Neal is 5th with Jordan Osborne 6th. Alan Axon there 7th. Carlo Messina will take reverse grid pole with 8th. And then we get Basti Schrar and Fabien Michelin for 9th and 10th. And down the back end of the field, Simon Trebek 11th with David Zerwes 12th. Michael Clough 13th, Yaroslav Fides in 14th. Bruno Rejo with an unfortunate 15th in the end after it was looking so promising for a top 10. Nick Lowe 16th. And then we have Barthez, Uhalau and Mitchell non-finishers here in race 1. Well, if race 1 provided us anything, it was pure unadulterated entertainment. Fantastic stuff. Oh my god, I hope we get the same for round number 2. Don't go anywhere. We're going to take a short break, about 5 minutes or so, and get ready for the second round, and I'm sure it's going to be as titillating as that first one was. See you in a short moment. Everybody, welcome back, and I hope you are strapped in and settled down for this second race now, because if it's as exciting as the first one was, then we are in for an absolute banger and a treat of race number 2. I've just been having a look in the drivers chat just to see what's being said, because I'd certainly enjoyed what we saw on the circuit. I'm sure everybody else agrees as well. And yeah, everybody absolutely loving it, and we've got some nice compliments. Louis Neal being told he's got the widest Honda of the field, and I think that's fair enough. Kept Jordan Osborne behind for many laps, and certainly a lot of praise going on from the drivers in and around this field, and I'm hoping we're going to see similar stuff again here for race number 2 as we get ready to start off on the grid, and the formation lap is underway. There goes Carlo Messina, because he, when we look at the grid here, has got that reverse pole position. Just getting away down towards turn number 1 now. All warming up their tyres, getting in the mindset, and getting ready here for race number 2. Here is the grid then. Carlo Messina there takes the reverse grid pole, with Alan Axon keeping him company on that front row. Louis Neal was probably going to be very happy starting on the second one in third, with Callum Wilson keeping him company, though he might have a bit of pressure straight out of the gate. Vlad Sokorev and Chris Gravett 5th and 6th on the third row there, with Daniel Herlock and Basti Schrar 7th and 8th on the 4th. Fabien Michelin and Simon Trebek, they'll take 9 and 10, with David Zerwes and Michael Clough 11-12. We move further down the field. Jaroslav Fides, he'll start in 13th, with Bruno Reinho 14th position, keeping him company there. Nick Lowe is 15th, with Roman Barthez 16th for Esport Racing Argentina, and Raider Uhalau 17th, and the final car on the grid. So I think we've lost a few drivers. I want to say Luke Mitchell calling it a day. I'm trying to work out who the other driver might have been, but either way, we have lost 2. But no matter and no worries, because still we have a nice stacked grid of 17 cars, and the way we saw race number 1 unfold, I don't think we're going to be short of action. And like we said, that reverse grid, the top 8 it was reversed, we see the guys that were leading now have to come through a little bit of traffic that was slightly further down, so that's going to add to the excitement here, and we'll have to see if they can make their way through once again. We saw it race number 1. It's a circuit that's tricky to overtake at. You really do have to be bold, and normally fortune favours those that are just that. Rounding the roller coaster now, final few corners of this formation lap. I can't imagine what Carlo Messina is thinking inside the cockpit of that car. I would imagine it is just don't mess up the start and get to turn 1 cleanly, and I'm sure from there he can control it a little bit nicely, but going to be tricky. Very strong few drivers behind him. Louis Neal is definitely going to be one to watch in third. He's going to start right behind Carlo, so I'm sure he's going to have his wing mirrors full. It's all about getting the all-important getaway from the line itself. Ooh, that was a bit of a reverse there. Alan Axon had to go slightly back from the starting blocks. Haven't seen that yet so far this series. Until now, at least. I can't imagine anything's going to come of it as long as he's in the starting block. Either way, the klaxons are going off. Another car in the pit lane starting from there, but there go the lights, and they're off down towards turn number 1. Fantastic start there for Callum Wilson in 4th. I'm sure he's going to get the jump. Carlo Messina struggling already. Vlad Tokarev says is in the lead. I'm not too sure what's going on with the timing tower. It's messing up slightly. Carlo Messina down the inside though, and Louis Neal having to drop back a few positions, got squeezed on the inside. Callum Wilson though, round the outside of the lot of them, now has the inside line. He's going to take the lead early on here in the first few corners. What a fantastic start as cars are going off further back. Little bit of drama. Not too sure who that was. I think we'll find out soon enough though. I think Basti Jaroslav Fides there, Michael Clough getting involved. Schrar, I think, managed to get through unscathed as they now make their way through Snake and up to the S's for the first time. Wilson leads from Messina. Axon, Herlock's got up to 4th as well. Gravett is 5th behind him. Louis Neal there 6th. What has happened? I'm trying to work out the other driver that was up in that top 7 at least. memory failing me, that would be Vlad Tokarev. He's down in 15th. What has happened to Vlad? 16th now. He's losing more positions. Axon going to try and do his best to help out his teammate. I think that was us trying to figure out what has happened to Vlad Tokarev, but doesn't appear to be on screen itself. Wilson going to desperately try and run away though. He got the fastest lap in race number 1, so what's stopping him from just taking a commanding lead here in race number 2? I can tell you, absolutely no one, because 0 is the amount of cars in front of him, as that is an impressive line taken there. I think Louis Neal might be having a bit of internet issues. Jumps back on, but Zerwes is past. I think he might be trying to just stay out of the way at this point, not too sure what's going on. Or maybe he'll be racing onward. I'm very confused what is happening here. I think it should sort itself out. Wilson definitely leads. We've got Messina in second. That's Herlock trying to go around the outside of Alan Axon. Alan Axon probably going to put up a monumental fight to help out his teammate in Chris Gravett. But is he going to be powerless to Daniel Herlock, because Herlock is down the inside of turn number 3, NASCAR Bend? I don't think Axon can really put up any fight to it. No, he cannot. And into hook corner, turn number 4, Herlock is through. Louis Neal still blinking in and out of existence by the seams of things. We'll keep an eye on it, but at the moment, Wilson running away. Messina still second. Herlock now has jumped up to third. Axon fourth. Gravett is fifth. I wonder if they'll swap around to make things easier. David Zerwes is up into 6th position. He has climbed, I believe that says 9 positions from his starting block. That is super impressive from David there. Simon Trebek following him by the looks of things. He's up into 7th. Nick Lowe is also in 8th. Radio Uhalau 9th. Basti Shah 10th. It's an odd second race we have here. I say odd, it's more just, I think, a mighty impressive drive from those teams and drivers, as there is the swap. Gravett now into 4th. Axon relinquishes the position in 5th. Gravett though with a bit of work to do, because Herlock is already on to the back of Messina. And I'm quite surprised that Wilson really hasn't just sort of shot away into the distance. The gap has definitely opened up though. 1.5 seconds between Wilson and Messina. Herlock there right behind Messina though for 3rd place as it stands. Is that Messina going deep? Herlock looking at going up and under, but no, Messina did manage to make the apex of the corner. And Gravett is desperately hoping that Messina is going to hold up Herlock so that he can try and get back into things here. Adam Wilson, fastest lap of 1:51 dead. And desperately getting a big handle on the lead of this race. He'll be looking for it. Hasn't had a win so far this season. He does sit 4th in the standings, but maybe he can finally add to it. Herlock's win last race means he ties now for the most number of wins so far this series, and that is Kappa as well and Herlock on 3 apiece. But Wilson looking for his first, and definitely in a good position to do so. Further down the order, no massive changes, but this is David Zerwes having to try and defend from Simon Trebek. I do love Zerwes' livery. Simple but effective. Yellow and black. Nice contrasting colours and just a few stripes, and why not? Easy to spot, let's put it that way. Simon Trebek though, 7th, and getting a nice view of the back of that car at the moment. Into roller coaster corner now they go. No move for the taking just yet. It says 8th, it is 7th. We've got a bit of a mess around with the timing towers, so try to look through that if you can. This is the battle for 6th spot as we jump back forward here to the battle for 2nd. This is between Messina and Herlock. Herlock getting the run on Messina out of Hogpen. Down the inside he goes. Going to be a textbook overtake into Horseshoe. And Herlock is through. Who is that going slowly? That's what I want to know. Off onto the grass. One of the unlimited drivers. as Louis Neal has found his way into the pits. I think that is his internet maybe finally giving it up. It's a shame because he was looking strong from the first race, finished 5th there, best of the rest, and was commended for his drive by a lot of his peers out there. Herlock though, 2-second gap now between him and Wilson out in front. Last time by, Wilson's still going slightly faster. 151.1 to Herlock's 151.4 as that spirals too wide though for Herlock. He's into the grass. Does he keep it out of the wall though? That's the important thing. He's going to drop down massively though. There's all the hard work gone, and he's now going to have to start behind Alan Axon once again. But crucially for Chris Gravett, he has now found his way into 3rd and ahead of his championship rival. This is looking promising now for Chris. Dear, oh dear, we saw it happen to Bruno Reno in race number 1, and now it's happened to one of our top runners in Daniel Herlock, just showing that he is not invincible. He is not a robot. He does make mistakes, and they are all human indeed, as that's a mighty impressive move there from Simon Trebek. He's going to go deep though into Hogpen. This is going to allow Zerwes back up and under on the inside, potentially maybe using a bit of battery out of the corner to cement the place. Simon Trebek though, what a move that was. You don't often see them there, but when you do, they are special, and that is going to be one he will definitely remember, I'm sure. Nice stuff. Uhalau having a better race 2 here after the disastrous race 1 and how that ended. Currently 9th and in the top 10, so that is good news for him. Looking at Bruno Rejo, he is 11th, so he is very close to that top 10. Maybe I hopefully won't jinx him this time by, as we jump back on board here with the leaders. Carlo Messina, Chris Gravett, as they run their way up through the S's, and Gravett has a nice rear gunner in Alan Axon. He'll be definitely keeping Herlock behind as long as he can, as best as he can, to allow Chris the best chance at regaining some points and getting closer in that championship. Wilson running away with it though, 2.5 seconds, trying to absolutely dominate this race. Chris Gravett though with the best lap of all so far, of a 150.9 to Wilson's 150.0, so not a lot in it, but definitely faster, and he is matching the leader's pace. He could be looking to line up a move there on Messina. Let's hope we jump forward. Yes, here we go, moving forward. Carlo Messina, the Italian, doing his utmost to try and hang on to this second spot, sorry. Had a really good start. This reverse pole has definitely helped him out massively. I'm just trying to work out who this is. I believe this is Basti Schra, Bruno Rejo. This is the battle then for P10. Bruno Rejo desperately trying to break that curse and get into the top 10 for the first time this season, as that was Gravett having a look down the inside of Horseshoe. Messina just about hanging it around the outside and maintaining that second spot. As I'm going to look back here, because yeah, Herlock is close right up to the back of Axon now as well. He's going to try a differing line, maybe go for the up and under. Axon wise to it, parks it on the apex. No way through for Daniel Herlock as they make their way through turn 6 of Snake. Is this going to be lining up though for the S's? He's looking left, he's looking right. He's pulled out of the slipstream. He's gone for the left-hand side of the circuit. Can he sweep in front before the S's? No, not just yet. They're maybe going to go side by side through here. That would have been very deadly indeed if they did. Nice move though from Daniel Herlock, and retakes 4th position. Back on board here though with Carlo Messina, Chris Gravett. This is now Chris's chance. Pulls alongside the camo-coloured car. Can he do it on the brakes? We saw how Daniel Herlock was able to defend so many times from race number 1. Gravett and Tokarev unable to do the business on that occasion, but late on the brakes, not needed because he's already ahead in the braking zone. Chris Gravett up to 2nd place now, and Daniel Herlock is still got his work to do if he wants to try and beat his rival here for race number 2. This is the battle between Zoes and Uhalau for 6th spot. Looking pretty good so far. I've been told that the championship standings have been updated after race number 9 here, so the race we've just witnessed. Daniel Hurlock 10-point advantage over Chris Gravett. They've now opened up the gap, of course, to Alessandro Cappa, who is some 29 points behind Hurlock, and of course then 19 behind Gravett. So unfortunately Cappa he didn't make this evening, so still going to lose out. And this is Hurlock and Axon still going quite aggressively with each other. Really close racing action. This Axon most definitely wants to get back past, not just for himself, but for his teammate. Can he help out Chris Gravett in his championship fight here? Going to take some doing, though. I think Hurlock has the upper hand. We've seen it pace-wise. For Alon Axon, looking at the last lap timings, I mean, his best is a 51.6 for Axon and a 51.4 for Hurlock. So Hurlock definitely has the advantage. Last time by, Hurlock also up by about half a second, as this is Zoes Uhalau side by side through Oak Tree corner of turn number 12. Now it's going to be a drag race down towards the next, through the kink of 13 and up towards turn 14 of roller coaster. You're going to get this crest first of all. You dart back down, and then it rises once again. So the whole circuit almost feels like a roller coaster, up and down, left and right. Fantastic bit of racing though, and we've seen some fantastic drivers on this circuit here this evening too. Uhalau finally gets past Zoes though, does the business. We saw the lights flash on Zoes' car, so he wasn't happy about the move, but I don't think there was anything wrong in my book, at least, with that one. He's going to fight it back though. Here he comes. Out of hog pen, got a better drive it seems, Wes. He's going to pull alongside Uhalau now. Who's going to be later on the brakes into turn number 1? Tricky right-hander as Uhalau does go later, but goes too late and off into the grass. Zoes sweeps through, easy as you like. And all those mind games paying off for Zoes, and Uhalau suffering from it. Up front with Chris Gravett. The gap between him and Wilson is 3 seconds, and Messina and Gravett is opening up to a second now. Hurlock also about 2 seconds behind Messina, so very interesting stuff. We haven't seen much of this man here in race number 2, but him and his Honda, Callum Wilson, is doing the business because he has led every lap of this race so far. He took the lead very early on through the exit of NASCAR bend of turn 3, hasn't looked back since, and why would you? Because you've got the pace, and I think he knows it as well. Just over 10 minutes left on the clock. He's probably singing a very happy song to himself in the car at the moment. Does still have to focus up and maintain that concentration, because one slip up and we've seen what can happen. We saw it with Daniel Hurlock earlier on, getting it on the grass wide, lucky to keep it out the wall, but it definitely cost him a few positions, and he's paying the price for it here. He's got back past one in Alan Axon, but he's still got 2 ahead of him, and one of them is his championship rival. I can tell you now points wise as well, if Gravett finished in P2, that's 17, and if Hurlock finished in P4, that's 13 points. So that would half the gap between them, because there's a 5-point deficit there. So that would be nice for Chris Gravett going into the next round in a fortnight's time. Yep, slowly coming down between him and Wilson. I don't think there's going to be enough time in it left, but it's going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out and unfolds. Zerwe's quite happy in 6th spot for the time being. He's 9 seconds back from this little battle here, but he has got a nice gap between him and Simon Trebek for 8th. Oh, sorry, Uhalau is 8th, Trebek in 7th, I should say. So it probably feels like a bit of no man's land for Zerwes, but I don't think he'll be too fussed about it because 6th position is still a nice hefty chunk of points for him when he has been struggling a little bit this season. So maybe a bit of a resurgent then for Zerwes, as this is Basti Schra on Nick Lowe. Nick Lowe having a nice second race here. He's definitely under the cosh though from the German. Into South Bend, look at that, getting it a bit sideways, and it's opened the door then for Basti. He's gone down the inside. Is Nick Lowe going to try and fight him back? No, he's not, because it's too far back to make a lunge. And easy as you like for Basti Schra. Just had to wait for the mistake from Nick Lowe, but P9 for Basti. Eight minutes left on the clock, and this is the gap between Herlock and Messina. The battle for P3. Can Messina keep him behind a bit longer this time? That's going to be the question. Herlock pulling out of the slipstream. Is he close enough? There's no way he's coming from all the way back there. I tell you what though, he's got it stopped on a dime, and just about, but my word, came from a mile back and still got it stopped. Just shows you the level of confidence that man has behind the wheel of this touring car machine. That was mighty impressive. Practically another postcode for him. Can you get a good run out of 5? It's quite an important run because you've got this. It's not a straight, but you are flat out all the way up to turn number 9, even through these sort of kinks in the road. Brave stuff from everybody there. Messina looking calm and comfortable at the moment. Herlock definitely pushing his machine to its limits. This is where he made the mistake earlier on. No such thing this time though. As now we've got the long back straight, 0.75 miles. I'm no doubt going to see probably a bit of battery here being used from Herlock, but is Messina, I'm sure, going to use some to defend as well. He's not alongside as they get towards the braking zone of 14. And no, Herlock going to have to be patient on this one. Messina still holding 3rd. Constantinoing effect there into the corner. Should space out slightly by the time we come to the exit of Hog Pen. We'll jump back here though to another battle still unfolding. This is David Zerwes having to defend from Simon Trebek, so that gap has come down. He was in a bit of no man's land a little while ago, Zerwes, but Trebek closing in, and the gap is now 0.3. 6 minutes left on the clock. Should be about 4 laps left in this race. What lap are we on now? We're currently on lap 11, including this one. 4 laps left, I would imagine, same as race number 1. Wilson still leading from Gravette, Messina 3rd, Herlock still 4th and biding his time. This is Nick Lowe getting past Bruno Reno, who I think has caught up to the back of Nick, although we saw him make a small mistake earlier on, but still has come increasingly under pressure. Then there's Reno going down, he's inside. That seemed too easy there for Bruno Reno, but he's got it done. So position gained, and Bruno is up into the top 10. But Nick's struggling out there for tyre grip. Has he pushed that car too hard, too fast? Because the Portuguese man is just marching off into the distance. 5 minutes to go. Messina, Herlock still locked horns and deep in battle here in the closing stages of this race. Down to the end of the back straight for the 11th time for these two. Very little separating the pair of them. Into Hog Pen. So tricky to get that right. You're braking as you're turning, similar to turn 11 and 12, so it's a really fantastic test for drivers around this circuit. You're putting your skills very much on show. Zerwes, Trebek, nothing separating these guys either. I think Rich might be struggling of where to look, and I couldn't blame him because we've got two fantastic battles unfolding at the exact same time. Both of them very crucial, you would add as well. Zerwa's Trebek a bit further down the order, of course, but these points are indeed important to them. They've been struggling a little bit so far this season. They were absolute sort of almost titans in the first season for the Touring Car Championship here on T6 Motorsport. I think the quality actually has been raised, so the driving standards have been upped. I think that might be why they're struggling a little bit more here for season 2. But this race right here, right now, they're very much back on top form. Cena still doing the stuff and the business as well. He's keeping Daniel Hurlock at bay for the time being, but he is right there and waiting for the opportunity to pounce. Barely anything separating these drivers. Down the long back straight. Hurlock closing in. He gets closer, but he's just not quite there enough to make a move. And Sticky almost kisses the back of Messina's car. Maybe he couldn't see him with all that camouflage. I highly doubt it. Rounding the final proper corner. And again, it's another important one because it opens up this long straight. Here we go. We'll get a nice onboard look then for Hurlock. Is he going to pull out the slipstream? Yes, he is. Down to the inside. Who's going to be later on the brakes here, though? Hurlock's going to have a tighter line to try and take. Messina's going to hang it around his outside. The advantage will come back to Messina if he can stay alongside him. But no, Hurlock pulls in front and takes third position off Messina. Can Messina fight it back, though, here into NASCAR Bend of turn 3? I don't think he can. He's got a few more corners to try and stick with and maybe immediately get back in front. But 2 minutes left on the clock. We've got 2 more laps to go, including this one. Time definitely running out. Can Hurlock now prance away? Or will Messina be able to keep in touch? That's the question. Wilson Gravett firmly checked out at the front, and the gap has been closing. It's just about 1.5 seconds between the pair of them. I don't think there's going to be enough for Gravett to catch Wilson, but it's looking nice if they can bring that gap down further. This is still Messina and Hurlock, though, in a battle themselves for this final podium spot here for the second race of the evening. Can Messina snatch it back from Hurlock down this long back straight? Is Messina going to get closer? Is he going to be close enough, I should say, to make a move into the roller coaster corner? Hurlock's going to massively defend the inside line there. We saw him do that in race number 1. He knows how to defend into this corner. Once again, does it to perfection. This is going to be interesting, though. Can Messina get a better run out of the final corner here? We saw Hurlock do it last lap. Maybe it's Messina's turn to get revenge. Down the start-finish straight, Hurlock still leading, opening up a bit of a gap there as they get closer to the braking zone. Now, I think Messina's closing that little bit back up to the back of that car, but not enough to get alongside on the braking. Hurlock's so good on the brakes in these touring cars, really has mastered that aspect of his driving here. So he is so difficult to get alongside and make a move because he is just able to outbrake you constantly. But Messina getting so close. The clock is about to hit 0, so when we get round, it is the checkered flag that will be flying. The gap up front is a second now. I really don't think there's enough time on the clock, but it'll be interesting to see how close Gravett can close that in. This is the chance, though, for Messina, potentially. He's looking left. He's potentially going to look a little bit to the right as well. Yes, as they go. Hurlock defending well so far. Only a few corners left in this race. Can he hang on to this final podium spot? That's the question, though. Messina looming large. Probably going to be a little bit desperate to try and get through. Hopefully not too much, though, that he causes a massive incident. But no doubt he'll give it his all. Here is the gap for Wilson. Like I said, we haven't seen much of him here because he just checked on out. But Callum Wilson very much dominating this second race. Gravette's done everything he can to close that gap. If he could have maybe got through the traffic quicker to him, maybe it could have been on, but I don't think there's going to be anything he can do. Definitely not now as you go through Hogpen, the final proper corner. Wilson definitely can take a bow and be happy with this one. He picks up his first win here for the T6 Touring Championship. Gravette is going to have to settle for second. Can Herlock hang on to third though as they get closer and closer to the line? Messina, Herlock, who's it going to be? It's going to be no contest in the end because Herlock finishes in third. Messina will have to be happy with fourth. Axon, I'm sure, will be pleased with fifth. Here comes Zerwes and Trebek. This is still tantalisingly close up to the line. It's a drag race between the pair of them. Zerwes still ahead though as we get to the checkered flag. He'll take sixth. Trebek will take seventh. This is going to be close as well. This is Uhalau and Shra. Sorry, I think. Yeah, Uhalau definitely got it at the line. That was so close though. My word, indeed. Basti Shah has come home in ninth. This is Bruno Reinho, first time in the top 10 this season. He'll be happy with that result. Next to the line is going to be Yaroslav Fayed, some 13 seconds back. And we'll pick up P11 for his troubles as well. Roman Barthez will be 12th by the looks of it, as the gaps do increase as you go a little bit further down. Nick Lowe is going to be 13th by the seams of things. He goes wide for good measure out of the final corner, but no threat from behind because Fabien Michelon some 26 seconds back. But Nick Lowe will take 13th and Michelon will come home in 14th, and the final driver on the circuit is Michael Clough, Vlad Tokarev and Louis Neal, unfortunately DNFing from this race. So we just wait here for Michelon to get his last little bit of honour up to the checkered flag. A difficult circuit this one, so I'm not surprised that some of these drivers have had a bit of a gap between them. Definitely nothing to be taken away from them though, because they are still immensely fast. I can tell you that. I would be nowhere near them if I was on circuit, and why not Michelin? Why not? Getting a nice little drift there in for good measure at the end. Well, let's take a look at the final race results then there for the second round or second leg of this Virginia International Raceway circuit, and Callum Wilson will be very pleased to pick up his first win of the series and take the top spot. Chris Gravette will have to settle for second with his rival alongside, well, on the podium at least. He'll be in third, with Carlo Messina having to settle for fourth in the end. Alan Axe on fifth, with David Zer with a mighty impressive sixth. Simon Trebek will be happy with seventh, no doubt, and so will Uhalau in eighth. Basti Shah ninth, and Bruno Rejo rounding out your top 10 and finally getting that top 10 position as well. Well done, you. Yaroslav Fayed will be 11th, with Roman Barthez for Esport Racing Argentina in 12th. Nick Lowe is 13th in the end, with Fabien Michelon. The final driver out there is Michael Clough. A few laps down, did get a finish in 15th, so we'll pick up that final point. Vlad Tokarev and Louis Neal, unfortunately, DNFing in 16th and 17th. Well, there we have it. I mean, we were expecting a bit of carnage potentially, but I think that's actually one of the more cleaner races of the season so far. Brilliant stuff up and down the field. Lots of battles to pick at and unfold, and no doubt I'm sure discussions will go on into the night about how good that was, because it was fantastic driving, to say the very least. Well, let's have a look at where we're heading next time anyway. In a fortnight's time, it's going to be the Uscherleben in Germany to take up, I believe it is round 6 then of this series, and then after that 11th of May will be Bathurst, and then the final round of Zandvoort. But yeah, 27th of April, if you want to catch this series once again, Uscherleben in Germany. But don't go too far, because we do have the Porsche Cups returning for next week as well, and they'll be heading to Bahrain for the round on the 20th of April next Sunday, so keep your eye out for that one, because that championship is also hotting up as well. But that is all we're going to have time for here this evening. I hope you have enjoyed it. One final big shout to our sponsors as well, Phoenix Sim Racing and Demon Tweaks. Massive thanks to those guys for keeping for sponsoring us. Yeah, big thanks there. And of course, a lovely big thank you to Rich Weatherall as well, keeping everything running behind the scenes. So my name's been Ashley Denman. I hope you have enjoyed the round that we have just witnessed, and I am very much looking forward to the next one also. But that is all we've got time for. So Hope you all get to bed safely and soundly this evening, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.